Well, good evening, South Africa, and welcome to another edition of Service Delivery Gauge. And just a quick reminder that this show is specifically designed for you, our viewers, to gauge the quality of service delivery in your area. And I'm your host, Sakina Kamwendo. Tonight, we have Fortune Madlala as our sign language interpreter. So again, this is an interactive show, and we invite you, our viewer, to please send us your videos on how you view your municipality in your area. And this could, of course, be any municipality, and of course our focus on Msunduzi this evening. The WhatsApp number 083-272-8341, and it's on your screen right now. And later on in the show, we'll also invite you to call in on 011-714-8052. And how would you gauge the level of service delivery in your local municipality? So you can send us those tweets. Our handle at SABC News, and our Facebook page is Service Delivery Gauge, G-A-U-G-E. So as I indicated, today we visit the Msunduzi local municipality in Pietermaritzburg in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, the next insert this evening takes us to Copesville, which is a suburb that's administered by the Msunduzi local municipality. Our Service Delivery Gauge team visited the area, and they brought us these pictures.
Copesville, a residential area in Pietermaritzburg in the KwaZulu-Natal province, falls under Msunduzi municipality. Recently, we visited the area and asked some residents about a range of challenges they are facing in relation to service delivery, as well as the illegal connection in their community.
The services we get is not up to standard. When we have issues, they actually get back to us 2 days, 3 days, or 4, 5, 6 hours later. And then with the water issues, we are not informed about when the water is going to get cut off. We are not informed when the lights are going to get cut off. Yeah, in Coastal we have a lot of crime. Where else? We haven't even got a proper police station. We haven't got a good right facilities.
Tony and Vijay Ali are both pensioners and have been residing in Copesville for 32 years. They voice how their electricity bill by the municipality is not accurate. On numerous occasions, they've been visiting their municipality to query about their bill, but with no luck. They say that they've been asking officials to look into their bill as they have been incorrectly billed.
Municipality must get to this out here and click the names out that people are not paying their lights, because we are paying our lights, and it's true, it's not right at all. When we want to see our slips coming, we expect our slips to come under our name, who is responsible and paying the account on the names, not the person that's not paying the account. And it's not right, and we're having a bad situation here. With the lights, they just all of a sudden come and disconnect our lights without us knowing, and the water is coming so high, we don't know whether we're paying for water or we're paying for the lights.
The municipality must conduct their job properly, because every time we go there, we have a problem. We've seen the people in charge, their workers make that they're owning the municipality, the electricity department. When we go to them, they talk very rude and aggressive to people.
The major big issue that is coming out from all residents is the billing system, whereby we're finding residents are actually billed incorrectly. They are actually getting high bills accounts, and when they actually query these accounts, we're finding that they actually are not able to get resolution to these accounts. We have residents that have been having ongoing challenges with their accounts for the past 5 years or more, and to date no resolution. So we're finding that residents are not able to get any resolutions done on the actual accounts.
Few kilometers away from Copesville is an informal settlement known as Swapo. Here, some residents say that they've been living in this area for over 20 years and have been living in squalor. Some of the residents in this area spoke about their dissatisfaction on why they should vote.
Kuzovota sizovotela ikhansela esingalifuni abalikhethileke shuthi bona khona la libasiza khona thina alisenzelanga lutho ongangakoma ngathiwa ngikhombisa ekhaya ungamangala kodwa how many years sivotela amakhansela engenzi lutho amakhansela
angenzela lutho mina ngiyagula yonke into ngiyona nje noma ngathi ngenzanja akukho ngilungelayo kodwa ngiyavota noma bengithatha la ngiyovota ngithatha uma ngikhuphuka kodwa uma sekuphele ukuvota angitholi imiyakazo.
Thina siyitholi idini kodwa mafanele amapasi ethu sihambe siyovota ngenkani. Kusho ukuthi okwenkani phela lokho asiyitholi idini.
Ngineminyaka ewu-28 ngila kule ndawo ngisahlala emkhukhwini namanje. Kusukela ngesikhathi siqala ukuvota ngo-1994 sathengiswa izindlu yathengiswa yonke into. Up till now thina la kuwatetang akekho umuntu wake wakhela indlu.
And that, of course, the voices of the residents. And just to give us a closer look into what is actually going on in the municipality, I'm joined today by SABC specialist researcher Emil Umro. And Emil, good to have you back. And let's take a look at Msunduzi.
Thank you, Sakina. So as we know, the Msunduzi municipality is in KwaZulu-Natal, and it mainly services the town of Pietermaritzburg, which is, of course, the capital city of the province, and the main economic hub of the district. So let's move on to some of the service delivery issues that we see in the town. Some of the main service delivery issues, we have inadequate road maintenance resulting in potholes across the city. There's also a lack of reliable electricity supply due to aging infrastructure. There's also a lack of technical capacity and skills within the municipality and their teams. And we also have inadequate refuse removal and improper dumping or waste disposal. Now, if we remember, a couple months back, the municipality was actually taken to court, and the High Court actually found that the municipality had broken several environmental laws in its administration of many of the city's dumps, and actually forced the municipality then to bring in some urgent remedies on that matter. Now, the services to households, we've got about 180,000 households in Msunduzi municipality, and a large amount of those, of course, are formal housing, with the smaller amounts being traditional and informal. A large percentage of households, roughly 91%, have access to safe drinking water, and it's worth mentioning here that the municipality is renowned for its blue drop water status, which speaks to its exceptional water quality given to residents. But on the flip side of that, almost 50,000 households still use pit latrines. That's a quarter of all households in the entire city. And less than 30,000 households have their refuse removed regularly by the local authority, which speaks to that waste management issue that we spoke about earlier. Moving on, let's look at the financial standing and challenges. We're going to refer here to a report by the city administrator, Mr. Dlamini, back in 2019 and 2020. And what he found was that 31% of ward committees were completely dysfunctional or very poorly functioning. This means that basically residents don't have the proper channels to report the issues, and if they do, nothing is really done about it. The municipality was also investigating 44 allegations of fraud and corruption, and the municipality did not have sufficient cash reserves to meet its monthly fixed operating commitments. The last time I checked, the municipality only had reserves for about a day, cash reserves for a day, when normally it should be about between a month and 3 months. And as of October last year, the municipality had a total outstanding debt of about 4.7 billion rand. So let's look at the voting trends and see who's really responsible for this mess. As we can see, there's not much has changed between 2011 and 2016. The ANC obviously has a large majority in the city, followed by the DA, the IF and the IFP. The only real change we can see then is the change between the substitution between the NFP and the EFF, who garnered more or less similar amounts of votes between the period. So it'll be interesting to see whether the status quo keeps up as we head into elections next month.
Indeed it will. Thanks so much, Emil. And of course, we are going to leave you to mull over those figures. And when we come back, we'll be talking to the officials who will tell us more about the Msunduzi local municipality and the issues bedeviling this particular area. We'll see you after the break.
So today we're exploring my home city, which is Pietermaritzburg, in the Msunduzi local municipality. I thought we should start in the hospital in which I was born. That's Edendale Hospital, which is behind me. So I grew up in the Unit J area in Pietermaritzburg. It's essentially part of Imbali. It's an area that was created in the 1980s for black professionals, and so they could have the better housing than what was previously available for black people. And some of the tar, in fact almost all the tar on the road, has not really been fixed ever since I've been growing up in this particular area. I actually was having a conversation with my father just recently about how the tar they found here when they moved here with my mother is still the tar that was there in the 1980s. And it's pretty much what we saw growing up, and no one has really come to this particular area to fix anything. And the result of that are the potholes that you see in this area that I grew up in. We have now entered the Dambuza area of Pietermaritzburg. It's also part of the greater Edendale area, and as you can see that the sewage pipes have burst and there's water that pretty much is leaking, and there's garbage all over that as well, garbage that clearly has not been cleaned in a very, very long time, and sewage pipes that also have dirty water on them, and you can tell that they too have not been cleaned in a very long time. As we continue driving in the Dambuza area, we're crossing a railway line that's also barely used, but just after the railway line you can see that there's water that's still, and next to it there's again more filth that hasn't been cleaned in a very long time. All right, so thank you very much for joining me on my drive through Pietermaritzburg, which is actually the parts of the city that I grew up in. And my journey ends here as I arrive at home, the house that I grew up in, and the place that I can say actually made me who I am as we build up to this year's local government elections. Well, a big thank you to our senior producer, Spumelele Zondi, for taking us back to his home. Now, on our virtual platforms right now, I'm joined by Mzimkulu Tibola, who is the mayor of Msunduzi local municipality. Francois Rogers is the DA's KZN provincial leader. Tina Sonke Ntombela, IFP councillor, and Vusi Koza is the EFF's KZN provincial chairperson. Gentlemen, thanks so much to all of you for joining us this evening, and welcome to Service Delivery Gauge. Mr. Mayor, let me start with you. And starting with an issue that was raised by the viewers there, the billing issue in the city. So just looking at some of the reports, you look at system flaws with the SAP system, residents charging that you've been overcharging them as a municipality. So explain to us what has been done to rectify this situation to date.
Good evening, Sakina. Good evening to the panelists and also to the residents of the city of Choice. We really appreciate this opportunity to engage with our people, the people of Pietermaritzburg. It is a fact that we did have some challenges when we started implementing the SAP system. But as we speak, all the modules that have been outstanding have been concluded now, meaning that what we are busy dealing with is data cleansing to ensure that we bill our residents correctly. That will also deal with the issue that was raised earlier by one of the viewers, saying that we are sitting at a data book of 4.7 billion. Of course, we are busy cleansing our data, and that will be brought down tremendously, because we know very well that there have been challenges, and those challenges are the things that we have been dealing with on a daily basis in the city. We can assure the people of our city that moving forward, they will be billed correctly, they will be billed for what they have consumed and what they are required honestly to pay.
So the problem is, Mr. Mayor, in terms of the data integrity, which you have just admitted is a problem, how sure are you about the actual billing that is being sent to residents? Because they are saying that they are being overcharged. Someone was telling me earlier they received a bill of 28,000 Rand. And, you know, these are pensioners literally, and this is the bill that they've received. So How do you explain that to your residents, and when? Because this problem has been ongoing for several years now.
Like I've just said, Sakina, we have just installed the outstanding modules that were outstanding on our SAP system. That have then ensured that now onwards our billing system is correct. We can assure the residents, after conclusion of this data cleansing, we are going to be in a position to bill them correctly. We acknowledge the fact that there were residents who have been wrongly billed, and when they come forward, we investigate, we audit their queries, and ensure that we work with them to resolve some of the challenges that have been raising.
Let me bring the DA here and also the IFP and the EFF, because you are there as representatives of the people, elected representatives. And when residents are crying out because they are being unfairly billed by the city, what is your role as the Democratic Alliance, Mr. Rogers?
Good evening, Sakina, and good evening to your viewers. Let me firstly say, that I'm dismayed that the mayor sits behind a banner that says the city of choice. Because if you listen to your intro, it certainly cannot be the city of choice. It has to be a city of disgrace, quite frankly. And let's talk about the billing system. You're quite right, Sakina. This is not something new. This is something that has been around for the last 10 years with the billing system. And what happens, our public representatives then have to deal with irate ratepayers and service payers who cannot get their bills sorted out. I myself had a home in Pietermaritzburg, which I sold. It took me 8 months to get a rate clearance certificate from the city of choice. This is the type of failure that we're dealing with. And to negate it and say, well, we're sorting it out, it's too late. The ANC have had long enough to sort it out, and it's a situation that's not resolving itself, quite frankly, under the ANC leadership.
So is that for you, Mr. Rogers, the only concern with regard to the billing system? Because the municipality handed over 67,000 customers whose debt had been in arrears for longer than 120 days. Only 67,000. What about the rest?
Well, Sakina, let me go back. If we're talking about 5 billion rand in arrears, and the mayor says, well, some of it might be incorrect billing. I mean, what does that do to the books of the municipality? Because 50% of that...
The mayor admitted to that. There's no integrity in that data.
So let's assume 50% of that billing is incorrect, or 40%, or 60%. Where does it leave the municipality's financial position?
So let me ask Mr. Koza from the EFF. Is it fair for the municipality to go after those whose accounts are in arrears for 120 days and not the rest of the residents of Msunduzi? Mr. Koza?
No, thank you, Sakina. Greetings to you. Greetings to the viewers and the panelists. Sakina, Mayor Tabola should be ashamed to come to this interview here and with a straight face tell us what he is telling us. He tells us now they've just sorted it out. After how many years? 10 years? Where have they been all along? We know that he's just sugarcoating for the purpose of the elections. Here's the truth. The truth of the matter is that what he terms the city of choice is a city of disaster, is a city of that's dysfunctional. We know that Tabola, because him and his officials, who are cadres deployed from the ANC, can't do any work. As a result, they rely on consultants that must do the job. And the consultants are only milking the municipality that is already bankrupt. You are going after the people that are trying to make an effort to pay. Yet the rest of the people are not paying. And you are not saying anything about it. Why? Because your billing system is a disaster. Here's the question. The question is, what happened to the system where the municipality employed meter readers who would would go house to house, collect the data, and then bill people correctly, either for water or for electricity. You know what they did? They did away with those people. They outsourced them to some contractors who are companies owned by friends and relatives and concubines and girlfriends. These companies do not do their job, and as a result, everything is collapsing. Now, the question is, what should be done? What should be done? Now, let's revert back to the system where people are insourced, services are insourced. The municipality employ people who will go on a monthly basis to read meters, feed that into the system, and bill people correctly, not this corruption of guessing and estimating and never getting anything right. That is where we are at the moment, because there's no reading of meters, either for water or electricity. It's just guessing by companies employed or giving out tenders who are relatives. They can't hold them responsible because these are their friends and their darlings and their relatives. That's where we are at the moment.
So what have you done about it as opposition parties, Mr. Khoza?
As opposition parties, we've raised this, we've challenged this system that they are doing. They keep promising that they're going to get it right, but it is obvious that they cannot get it right. They employ consultants who come up with the reports, and these councillors that they have can't even read those reports. Those reports are there gathering dust. There's only one thing that is going to rescue the people of Msunduzi, is by removing this mediocrity, removing this uselessness, and removing this oppression that is not helping them from power come the 1st of November 2021.
You do not believe you all need to take collective accountability for the mess that is going on, Mr. Ntombela, because the point that Mr. Khoza raises about the insourcing of consultants, and you bring consultants in, whereas the municipality is spending in excess of 20 million rand for people to do certain jobs. I think it's actually closer to 50 million rand for people to do the jobs, and then you still bring in consultants at a cost of about 6 million rand to do the same job. How does council approve this, Mr. Ntombela?
Thank you, Sakina, and good evening to the members of the panel there. Sakina, I think I'll be doing injustice if I don't start by apologizing to the community of Msunduzi and the community, the people of the KZN at large, since Msunduzi is the capital city. Sakina, I'm saying this as a sitting councillor in this municipality and also an ESCO member. The problem is that the mandate, Sakina, was not given to the IFP, but the people of this city, Msunduzi. They gave the mandate to the ANC, of which in the bus that the driver is the outgoing mayor, Mr. Tebole. We are the passengers in that bus, even though we have licenses to drive that bus. I'm saying this, Sakina, because of poor service delivery. You see, what is happening in this municipality is really a disaster. I also want to to extend an apology to Amakosi, who form part of this council, of this Msunduzi. There are 6 traditional councils. There are 2 from Zondi. There's Zondi Mpumuza and Zondi Inati and Zuma Madlala and Trimba and Mkhize and Nkunze. All those people from Vulindlela, they are suffering. They don't have water. There are no roads. I'm not saying only in those areas, even in Swampo, as you have said, listen to the people there, and Cobbsville. So everything is a disaster, Sakina. The problem when you are challenging these things, I want to concur with Mr. Francois Rogers and the EFF. that you see when you are challenging this in the council, the ruling party, they simply just tell us that, hey, you must go out and ask the people to vote for you so that you will be able to do your things. But they are in power. That is why they are doing this. You see, what I see to the ruling party, there is that element of arrogance towards the voters of this community, of this Msunduzi.
And all the while, monies are spent and the services not quite there for the people of Msunduzi. Mr. Mayor, if I can come back to you, the Public Protector released a report recently calling for heads of negligent officials in Msunduzi Council to roll. Have you had opportunity to pay some mind to that particular report?
Indeed, Sakina. What the Public Protector just publicized last week is what we have dealt with in council. It was not something new. We have discussed 3 forensic reports emanating from 2018, 2019, or from 2017, 18. We have taken resolutions on that and we are acting on such forensic reports. The Public Protector, what she has put forward now is what we are acting upon. And I'm just surprised as to which planet do these two, especially these two parties, come from, because it is a fact. I don't even recall that there's an EFF in council, because they are just there to come to council and sleep. You'll never hear them saying a word. I don't know where does the IFP come from, as much as they sit in council, in both the executive committee and in council, but you'll never hear a word from them. It's surprising that today we hear them apologizing to the people of Msunduzi, going as far as even telling the people, misleading the people again, saying there are only 6 traditional areas in this council, when it's not true. And this councillor knows, but it shows of people who are far away from the facts, who don't understand what the people gave them just that little opportunity to come here for. Equally, Sakina, it's like they don't know that COVID alone, how much has it disturbed us? I'm now talking in terms of doing house visits in meter reading. There are no consultants here. We have meter readers, which we do read meters on a monthly basis. I don't know where does Mr. Kosa get that. Of course, I understand he's not from this city here. Equally, Mr. Rogers, let me tell you, we have reduced the time just for the race clearance certificate from over 6 months to only 2 months currently, because we have introduced a new system in this municipality here, working together with everybody involved in the property development to make sure that we give the services accordingly to our people. And it doesn't take you more than 2 months to get a race clearance certificate in this city here. The system we are using is more reliable. We know very well it is reliable.
To be fair, your billing problems predate the COVID-19 pandemic, Mr. Mayor. But that aside, there was another forensic report into a 290 million rand tender fraud scandal. I just want to know, how far are you with regard to acting on the findings of that report?
Remember, Sakina, that the recommendations had said we must open a case with the SAPS, we must report to the SIU, and most of those recommendations are sitting with the SIU as we speak, because we cannot, not under the watch of the ANC, can we allow any corruption. And it's only the ANC that can say to the people, where we find the red smelling, we are able to stand up and say, this is the red smelling. And nobody will tell you, ask Mr. Ntombela now, what are they doing about the 5 million breakfast in Durban from Zululand? What are they doing about that? Nothing. They will never tell you what they are doing about that. Of course, like I said, I can't talk about the EFF. They are nowhere.
But we're talking about Msunduzi, and as I said, I don't think that the opposition gets a free pass on this, because some of the most ridiculous things have happened on their watch. Where was the oversight? For example, you say that particular 290 million rand fraud investigation, you've opened cases there. I would have liked more specifics to know who you dealt with, how you dealt with that specifically, but I suspect you're not going to give me that right now. But if you will, I will give you the opportunity to do so. But that was a report from 2011, and now we're talking the Public Protector's report from last week. And yeah, more ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous fraud and corruption that is perpetrated, whereby, for example, the South African Human Rights Commission, they held an event in Copesville, and they brought their own public address system, and yet someone went and billed the municipality for that, and you paid for it as a municipality. So how do these things happen? Where is the oversight? What are people doing in council? This is what I don't understand. But hold it there, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I want to start with the opposition parties, and then I'll come back to you. Let's take a quick break.
Msunduzi has been under continuous strain for many years. Basic services like water, electricity, refuse collection continue for some time and then break down. Continue to break down. So much so that the city has been under administration for 2.5 years and nothing has changed. If it wasn't for the local government elections, residents and ratepayers would be petitioning to have the city dissolved.
This is the corner of CB Downs and Market Road. As you can see, there's such a massive hole in the road that people are having to drive around to try and miss it. But yeah, this is the wonderful Msunduzi municipality and its service delivery yet again. Beautiful roads, huh?
During election periods, the SABC is mandated to provide equitable and fair coverage that enables citizens to access information about elections, processes, and party political messaging. Any complaints related to elections coverage should be lodged with the ICASA Complaints and Compliance Committee by sending an email to consumer@icasa.org.za. Regarding non-elections related coverage, the SABC complies with the Code of Conduct of the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. The code commits us to broadcasting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful to children, does not amount to hate speech, and contains no gratuitous violence or explicit sex. If you think our radio or TV services are not living up to that code, you may direct your complaint in writing to bccsa@napsa.co.za. The SABC also subscribes to the Press Code of Ethics and Conduct for South African print and online media. Complaints about the SABC's online and social media content can be directed to the Press Council by sending an email to inquiries@ombudsman.org.za. Complaints can also be emailed directly to the SABC to complaints@sabc.co.za.
Well, the week ahead is a show that airs between 1 and 2 o'clock on SABC News Channel. The show's been extended to an hour. We're going to continue to bring you rolling coverage of what is unfolding every step of the way from our different provinces, different communities, different metros, different areas, parties and independent candidates in full swing campaigning and electioneering ahead of the local government elections. Thank you for joining us. Catch the week ahead with myself, Liesl Wilson, on SABC News Channel between 1 and 2 o'clock on Sundays.
The clock is ticking and the final push is evident as political parties and independent candidates try to secure your vote for the November 1st local government elections. On Elections 360 Degrees, we unpack the campaign highlights but also a diverse perspective. Join me, Aldrin Simpier, every Saturday evening right here on the SABC News channel on Election 360 Degrees.
I read our municipality has read.
Red.
I
rate the municipality red because of the condition of the roads.
Red. All right.
It's a red. I will definitely rate them as a red because here in Copesville, we've got no help at all. No help at all. We've been complaining about the water system, we've been complaining about the lights, but nothing seems to be happening here.
That's for red. Red is that nesizathu saloko because if ubuka indawo esikuyona kuyimanje even umuzi sikuwona can go through it ungawubona ukuthi unjani njengomkhandlu fanele ngabe mhlambe khona osekwenzakalile ukuthi emphakathini phansi komkhandlu weTheku zikhona ingqalazizinda ngoba akuthi azikho zikhona kodwa inikwa abakhethekile.
I am rating umasipala a green.
Sinika umasipala wethu ugreen ngoba uyasebenza la.
If someone's failing in the government, let us not speak bad, but actually be part of those that do what's right. I met another old man fixing up the roads when the roads were having holes in Scottsville. And it was amazing to see such a thing.
And welcome back. You're still watching Service Delivery Gauge, and we're taking your calls in this segment on 011-714-8052. WhatsApp videos, like you just saw, 083-272-8341. And of course, we will just take a quick look at some of your tweets, and we'll be scrolling those later on as well. This one's from Nyambose, who says, it's as though the street lights in the CBD are all not working, and it's been like that for a while. The city is dark at night. At least I say about the least I say about the filth, the better. Poor service delivery by the municipality. Maklaka says giving it a level would be an insult to the word level. The city is a dump, fast turning into a dump with mounds of rubbish everywhere. Law enforcement is non-existent, and any self-respecting person should stay away from the CBD. So we'll put more of those tweets up as we move through the show. And continuing, of course, with our discussion with the officials in the municipality representing the ANC, the DA, the IFP and the EFF. Let me come to you, Mr. Rogers. And you heard what the mayor had to say. So let me ask you about some of the problems and the lack of oversight, seemingly, from the opposition parties to pick up on some of the problems in the municipality.
Thanks, Sakina. Indeed, as the DA we do. We're very vocal in council, and we don't always get it right in council because the ANC has the majority, so they close ranks. But if you remember and you recall clearly, this is now the 10th year that this municipality has been under administration. We in fact wrote to the MEC of Cocta, Tlomuka, and asked him to place to dissolve the municipality because we were not dealing or not able to deal with the corruption, the maladministration, and the poor service delivery. And this, of course, was all a part of a result of the continual infighting between the ANC regional structures, the municipality, and the provincial structures. Now, Sakina, you don't have to take my word for this, but if you look at the Deputy Minister of Public Services, Sindiswe Chikunga, was recently in Pietermaritzburg, and she herself stated that a spaza shop is better run than the Msunduzi municipality. Those aren't my words. Those are an ANC Deputy Minister's words. The municipal manager himself in Msunduzi spoke to the staff and said that the ANC councillors were focused on internal politics and that they were influencing the officials within the municipality, and therefore they could get nothing done. So what's happened here is the ANC in Msunduzi has just been navel-gazing and fighting the internal ANC battles and their factions, And that's led to the dismal performance of service delivery. So from a DA perspective, we've certainly been on the ground. We've been highlighting these issues. But, you know, you can only do so much. And when the MEC of Cocta doesn't want to dissolve the municipality, what more is there that we can do other than call on people on the 1st of November to say enough is enough? Bakatele nje, anifuna makongolos.
What about the ghost workers? I mean, again, where is the oversight? When all of these things are raised, what happens to the reports? Where is the follow-up? Because it's not good enough to say we laid a charge with the police. Has anyone followed up beyond that? Has anyone spoken to the National Police Commissioner to find out why things are not moving? Has anyone spoken to the National Director of Public Prosecutions to find out why things are not moving? I just need to understand from the side of the opposition parties, Mr. Rogers.
Look, Sakina, from our side, we have a provincial spokesperson on local government. His name is Chris Papas, and a lot of the issues that you've just raised now has been raised at the door of the MEC of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. And it appears that they don't have the power. They can't override the region to be able to investigate these allegations, and it's the internal factionalism within the ANC that is the problem. And that's why the matters are never resolved, never brought to book, and there's no accountability. I've never seen anyone held to account. The only time I knew of a good official in Msunduzi was when they had a municipal manager by the name of Mpolisi Nkosi, who actually turned the municipality around financially. And what happened? They suspended him, came up with all sorts of Trump charges, which were never actually true, and he in fact cleared himself, and he's gone. But they got rid of him because he had his finger on the pulse. He had his finger on the money.
Okay.
There are too many people looting the coffers there.
Let's hear from Leonie, who's calling us from Pietermaritzburg. Good evening, Leonie.
Good evening.
You're welcome. Please go ahead.
Hi. I just want to report they said they're reading our meter readers. But what's happening is the water reader meter goes past. I'm living in Napierville, in the corner of Wiltshire and Napier Road. There's a meter bypass for the last 2 months with a hose pipe. And the meter reader walks past and is not reporting it. I've reported it several times, nothing is getting done. And furthermore, it's a dysfunctional house where drugs and everything gets dealt with every day. Nobody's doing anything regarding that. What can be done regarding that?
All right. Leonie, thanks so much for the call, and noted. We'll try and see if we can get some answers to that. And also, you know, just going back to what Leonie is raising, Mr. Ntombela, you said you're a councillor in this municipality. So there's the issue at Napier Road, the issue of meter reading and the integrity of the data that the city has for billing. But also, as Emil was reporting earlier, our researcher, 31% of ward committees are actually dysfunctional or poorly functional. So what sort of recourse does Leonie or anyone else have to actually have their voices heard by the municipality? Mr. Ntombela?
Sakina, you see here, Sakina, you are dealing with the ANC. As they are ruling this council or this municipality, everything, it lies with them. You see, Sakina, another thing, it was going to be better if the MEC for cooperative governance was present in this debate, because you can ask yourself, what took them so long to keep this administration? Because this is illegal. You can't keep, the administration for 2.5 years. Another thing, Sakina, as I have said, that you see everything that is done in this municipality is insane. You see the mayor, they've recently sponsored the soccer team for 27 million, while the Msunduzi is in this, function. You see, the roads, there are potholes on potholes. There is no electricity. There is poor refuse removal. The city is the filthiest city in the province. So you can ask yourself, why did the minister did not dissolve this municipality? You see, what is happening, Sakina, as I have said, is very disgrace to the community of Msunduzi.
But beyond the rhetoric, beyond all the talk, the residents need services. Leonie needs to know what's going to be done about her meter reading. She needs to know what's going to be done about the meter that is bypassed on her street, that someone has to pick up the tab for. So what are you doing about that, Mr. Ntombela?
Sakina, there is a poor supervision. You see, as Mr. Khoza have said that, there is this cadre deployment. That is why there is no performance. There is no consequence management, because these things have been reported to the council. But there is no supervision, because all the people who are given job, they are the cadres. So we as the opposition, we are raising this, we are challenging this, but because we are outvoted by the number of the councillors in this council, so that is why we are failing to do the oversight.
Mr. Khoza, let me bring you in. Given everything that has been said, and especially by the opposition parties, what does this mean in terms of the role and the efficacy of opposition parties in council? Are you actually worth anything in those councils if you're simply going to be outvoted and overruled by the ruling party?
Sakina, there's what you call the will of the people. The people of Maritzburg have given the ANC an outright majority to run that council. But it has become very obvious that the ANC has failed in all its aspects. And let me tell you that the ANC is determined to cling into power in that municipality by hook or by crook. Why am I saying that? Recently, when the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF, Julius Malema, wanted to visit voting stations, they mobilized people from Guatambuza. They tried to block him because they're fearful. They're scared of a strong opposition there. They want to remain an outright majority so that they can carry on with their shenanigans undisturbed. I'm sad to report that in the last hour or so, I've just received the news that one of our councillor candidates in Msunduzi has been gunned down dead. May his soul rest in peace. I'm not at liberty to disclose his name and what he was contesting because we are still grappling with informing the family, etc., etc. This is the kind of intolerance, political intolerance that we are seeing. The same political intolerance that we are seeing outside is what is playing in within the municipality, where the ANC is prepared to bully everyone for them to hide their shenanigans. What is worse is that the people that are supposed to be holding them accountable, like the MEC of Kokta, for instance, and even the Kokta MEC National, they don't do that because they believe that the Pietermaritzburg area, Gongundlovu, as a region, has got a sizable support. So whoever wants to emerge at conference must then rely on that region to bring votes. That's why they're not held to account. And I repeat, it's the people of Maritzburg that are going to free themselves from this oppression and this disaster that they find themselves in by voting out these crooks and mediocrity out when it comes to the next election. For now, right now, we are outnumbered and outgunned. The ANC is doing as they please because they can use their majority. Whether it's officials, it's their deployees, or councillors, is their people. So
Well,
it makes it very difficult for opposition.
Mr. Koza, our sincere condolences here at SABC News and Service Delivery Gauge to the family and, of course, the colleagues and comrades of the deceased councillor or council-elect. So our sincere condolences there. And welcome back. And as we always invite you in this segment of the show called Where I Come From, we give you an opportunity to rate the service delivery in your area, wherever in the country you may be. So let's take a look.
Wene kwamba ndikhathuchelo mutengwe maragalala ubva nga fhalo mondo pambani nṋe u swika zwino vhoi ahuna tshithu tshine nda nga to tshisolavo nga kha masipala hoyu wanga wa thulamela hune nda wela fhasi yawo milayo yoṱhe hayi tshimbidzwa nga ngona ahuna vho tshiṅwe tshine nda nga tshisolavo luni hayi ḽo lala nda.
Sakina, I live in the wonderful leafy suburb of Newlands, where our leaves are collected on a regular basis, along with our services which are delivered on time. And guess what? We have no potholes. And why is that? Because we have no corruption. And why is that? Well, that's because we run by the DA. And a lot of people have figured that out. And behind me, you'll see one of the many mansions, taxpayer funded, that the ANC resides on in Newlands area and enjoying the services of a great corrupt-free DA-run municipality. Mike from the leafy suburbs of Newlands.
Well, thanks for those. And, of course, we'll share the ones that we can't flight on our sister show, Service Delivery Gauge Weekly, which runs from Monday to Friday, of course, with Criselda and Mkolisi. And many people writing from Pietermaritzburg saying, we have no electricity. Hilton Frost says, would love to watch, but our electricity went off as it started. Can't be too surprised, though, with this municipality. Duba says there's no power, as I tweet. Mike Findley, the only consistency is the service delivery failure. Power is out yet again. The city is in decay. And then this one is from Brett Teichman, who says, would love to understand how a Msunduzi municipality can spend 27 million on a private soccer team when they don't have the money to fix our street lights. The money to fix our street lights, repair our failing electrical and water infrastructure, not even touching on the pothole-ridden roads. So those are some of the messages coming through. City of choice, you each have 30 seconds to wrap it up. Let me start with you, Mr. Koza.
Sakina, this guy who's posting about Newlands and the leafy suburbs and service delivery, no, he's getting service deliveries because he's white, and the ANC only serves white monopoly interests. One. Number two, Msunduzi people must change their plight. Let me come to this soccer team. This soccer team is a money laundering scheme for the ANC. They are cleaning money stolen from the municipality. Lastly, the people of Msunduzi can free themselves from this stranglehold of this corrupt ANC by voting them out come 1 November 2021. They must do the right thing and vote EFF manje.
On your 30 seconds there. Mr. Ntombela?
Thank you, Sakina. I thought the mayor, the outgoing mayor, was going to answer why did they prefer to sponsor the soccer team for 27 million while the city is suffering. Sakina, the IFP is appealing to the people of Msunduzi to go out in their numbers and do their protest in the ballot papers on the 1st of November to vote for the IFP and outvote this ruling party. And they must trust that the IFP will champion clean, safe, and reliable water and sanitation services in Msunduzi, and trust the IFP to change lives in Msunduzi with clean, efficient governance. And trust the IFP to get the people of Msunduzi to work and to lobby for more opportunities for the youth.
Thanks, Mr.
And the first time attract to the job market through.
That's your time. Mr. Rogers, you have 30 seconds.
Thanks very much, Sakina. Yeah, look, at least the DA can speak from experience. Where we govern, we govern well. the DA gets things done. The top 5 municipalities in the country are run by the DA. And I think the residents, and just listening to your interviews this evening, the residents have had enough of the ANC. And I think it's time that they show the ANC the door, and they've got that opportunity on the 1st of November. And quite frankly, what we need to deal with, we need to remove party politics in Msunduzi. We need to ensure that we've got revenue generation. We need to build a capable and ethical structure in our municipality and install basic services. I think that's what it's going to take to turn it around, and the ANC don't have the capacity.
Got you. Last 30 seconds. Mr. Mayor, your turn.
Thanks, Sakina. I believe one day we will get an opportunity to clarify this fabrication of the soccer team, because these people are really misleading the public here. But what we are saying is a call to the people of the city of choice to give us another opportunity. Hence, we have already started the job to give them what they deserve, a good governance, to give them what they deserve, an ethical leadership that is committed to ensuring that service delivery is given to our people. Only the ANC, Sakina, is able to say, when we have erred, we stand up and apologize to the people of South Africa, not just of this city.
Well,
the chairperson of the ANC in the province apologized in 2017, 2018
Mr.
to the
Tebola,
people.
that's your time as well. That, unfortunately, is all we have time for on this week's edition of Service Delivery Gauge. And we'll see you again next week. And thanks so much to the team and, of course, to all of you for participating. We will podcast this for you as well for the residents of Msunduzi who are unfortunately in the dark. If you know them, tell them. We'll tweet about it as well. Take care until next week.